Will we ever be able to travel to other galaxies and the far-flung galaxies of the universe? How is it possible?
Okay, my opinion is that will never happen. It's physically possible. You can say a lot of things about what the motivation would be. Why would you want to do it? Would you do it with some sort of scheme where you are, I forget what the term is in science fiction stories, where you're frozen for a million-year journey and then you wake up? Think about maybe somebody would want to do that, but forgetting about ideas about why you would want to do it, just how to do it is such a difficult thing technologically. And we know that the lifetimes of technological civilizations are not infinite. As much as we don't like to realize that our civilization will eventually die as a technological civilization. And I don't think there's time and, if you will, political will, so to speak, to mount the project necessary to travel even to stars, near stars within our galaxy. Forget about your question of going to other galaxies, which is a huge, much more difficult problem than the hugely difficult problem of going to nearby stars. I wonder if we will ever travel to other stars. And as you know, the Fermi Paradox says,
Right.
Well, if it's possible, they would be here. So the fact that we haven't seen them means that it's not possible, or at least it hasn't happened. To me, there's a more meaningful and closer version of the Fermi Paradox. Mm-hmm. Why haven't we heard from them? Now that we know that there are planets around almost essentially every star in probably the universe and within our galaxy. And by the way, that a major leap in that discovery was carried out at the Ames Research Center by a large team led by Bill Barucki, who is the hero of modern astrophysics of that kind. It's a long story about the difficulties he had getting the Kepler project to happen and so on and so on. But so almost certainly there are civilizations everywhere in our galaxy. And you have to accept some assumptions about what it takes to generate life in the first place, to generate intelligent life, and so on. But most people think that there's almost certainly intelligent life, or at least that's a good question. Are there civilizations that are capable of sending radio messages to us or other forms of message? The fact that we haven't, despite some looking for them, the SETI Institute and the SETI project has a long history of searching for signals. I spent a little time working on analysis of data from what's called the Allen Telescope Array. It's an array in Northern California funded by Paul Allen of Microsoft, dedicated to the search for signals from extraterrestrial civilizations. And as you know, because you would have heard if there had been any discovery, there have been no detections of signals of any kind. To me, that's a more interesting and important and direct question than why haven't we been visited? Why haven't we gotten any signals? There are lots of interesting things to pursue in that area. One that might not be obvious is something called, has a funny name, star tickling. The idea of tickling a star. The notion is that one of the big problems with sending out radio signals that will reach the far edges of our galaxy, let's say, is the tremendous amount of energy you would have to put into a transmission to do that. So one idea is that the civilization would let a nearby star do the work, so to speak. So the civilization, let's say, is nearby a Cepheid variable star. Let's say there's a Cepheid variable star. It's a variable star that cycles through a regular period of brightness change. And the civilization would understand that it could tickle the Cepheid variable. It could inject some beam of energy that would make a small change in the time at which the peak of the brightness would occur. And this could act as like almost a Morse code transmission, where you the civilization would encode a message by delaying or advancing the time of the peak of the Cepheid variable. And it turns out, this is sort of ironic in a way, the best data for looking for that effect is in the data obtained by the Kepler satellite, which is the satellite that discovered all of these planets around stars in our galaxy. Because that satellite not only measures the brightness of stars in order to discover planets around them, but it also just measures the brightness of everything in the field of view of the telescope. So it's the best data set for the variability of these Cepheid variables. And anyway, that's a bit of a tangent, but a lot of these things sort of work together in a network of ideas.
Right.
And so there are a lot of people that there's some new ideas about ways of searching for signals from intelligent civilizations that people are working on and so on. But the cold fact is, so far, no detections. What does that tell us? Does that tell us, well, I don't know.
So we are alone.
You tell me.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think is the reason why we haven't gotten radio signals from ET in our galaxy? One answer is it's just a big technological problem that no civilization has managed to solve. Another speculation is they're not interested because they don't want to. There's this business about it. Wasn't it Stephen Hawking said we should be worried about sending out messages because they'll come and eat us?
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
he said that. Yeah.
A silly idea, but maybe that silly idea is more pervasive than my ideas, and so that's why no civilization has reached out to us. Who knows? It's a nice area to speculate in. Once again, with new data analysis, new data methods, and telescopes and so on, we're getting more information. So I think 50 years from now, we'll have either some detected signals or we'll know more about why we're not getting positive results. But that's a guess.
Absolutely. No, you're right, because we have these LIGO detectors for the, detection of gravitational waves that, came traveling after billions of years to Earth. And that's why the Nobel went to these two scientists, right? So maybe in the next 10 to 50 years, we will have something like this that can detect, perhaps by SETI or by somebody, some other organization, some scientists, that we have detected something. And yeah, you're right, if we haven't, then we're not special. We're just lonely. We're just alone in this universe.
Right. I think that's unlikely, but it could be.
Right.
I think it's unlikely we're alone. I should be specific. I think you're familiar with the Drake equation, roughly estimate how many other civilizations will be. It has a lot of uncertainties in it, but altogether, if you think about it objectively and put in reasonable factors, probably the most uncertain one is as you're probably aware, is the lifetime of this civilization as a technologically capable civilization. That maybe every civilization achieves nuclear weapons and destroys themselves. That's certainly a possible answer. Maybe every civilization discovers genetic engineering and destroys itself by fiddling around with the genetic code and thereby makes mistakes and destroys civilization. There are various ways civilizations could commit suicide, and maybe that's happens so often that this factor in the Drake equation is so small that we're almost alone, and there are very few civilizations in our galaxy.
Right.